All right, this is Todd Atkins. I'm here with Melanie Landress, and today we're going to be discussing some jiu-jitsu competition and her start in jiu-jitsu, and she's a rising competitor out of Wyoming. And before we start, I have sponsored Live to Fight Design. They make fight banners and gym banners for people. You can find them on Instagram at Live to Fight Design. And if you use my promo code Todd Atkins, you get $20 off your order. Now, Melanie, for people who aren't familiar with you, I kind of want to let you introduce yourself.
Okay, well, starters, my name's Mel, and I'm currently a blue belt under Roy Dean. I am training in Wyoming at Black Label Jiu-Jitsu. We moved over here due to my husband being military, so we're originally from Miami. So we got stationed out here, and I always wanted to be an MMA fighter. My mom would tell me, no, like you're not allowed, like you're gonna get the ugly ears. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'm not allowed to do so. And we moved over here and my husband was like, hey, there's a jujitsu gym. Do you want to try it? And I was like, you know what? If it's the closest thing I could get to fighting, I guess so. We'll start there. And then from there on, I walked in my first day. They beat me up. They beat the living crap out of me. And I just fell in love. I was like, oh, this is what I need in my life. I love the violence. Like, thank you for not treating me like something less, or just they saw me. They're like, we're gonna, we're all gonna be friends here. We're gonna beat you up until you learn. Like, you're gonna learn, and one day you'll beat us up, kind of thing. And that's where it all started. That's where my love for jujitsu came. Doesn't sound like usually when people get beat up, they're like, oh, no, I don't want to be back. But I was super excited. I was like, okay, I'm bruised now. Let's go. Like, I'm ready.
Now, did your husband, he already have interest in it before then?
He did. We're both kind of into the whole MMA, UFC, martial arts. He actually did a little bit when he was a kid, and then he stopped. And then he didn't do it for a while, and then he was playing football in high school and such. And then when we moved over here, he realized, hey, there is opportunity for me here to do it. Might as well bring you into it with me. And we're that family that we watch the fights on, like, Saturday is fight night. So instead of our Super Bowls are the pay-per-views every Saturday. So that's our thing, yeah.
Movie theaters are the best deal for the pay-per-views. I don't know if you've gone to theaters yet.
I need to try it. I see it and I'm just like, that looks so fun. You're just in the recliner seat and you're with everyone else who also loves it, and then it's just on a big screen. It's cheaper.
Yeah, it's like $25. So if you can find one in the area, maybe I'll search and see if I can. Because if you watch it a lot, that's probably for your money. And
Yeah.
it's probably on the viewing wise. I've watched so much stuff in theaters. Like I watched Mayweather McGregor in the theaters. I watched all sorts of stuff, fight wise. So people don't know that it's available.
Exactly. Yeah. I just recently learned about that. I didn't think they would show it in the theaters, but I saw it recently. They're like streaming pay-per-view, and I was like, no way. I can come in here, have snacks, have a hot dog, like just have my little blanket on me, be in a recliner seat. Like, this is what I should be doing, and it's cheaper. But
it's pretty chill. It's usually hardcore people.
exactly. Fans.
Yeah. So I've been doing it for years.
I mean, you must be saving. That's a good save on money. Good, like, meet new people. Like, and that's the real deal. I should start doing that. I need to start doing that, actually.
Now let's kind of talk about like your development. When you first start training and stuff, what did you feel like you were picking up early as far as the techniques go?
Technique wise, I would say at first was my bottom game, my guard. I feel like I have a stronger guard. But that's because I was introduced to that first. Submission wise, I would say my triangles. I hit triangles and guard playing really hard, and that's what I understood conceptually the most. And I kind of just had to branch out from there. But when I first started, I would say like just bottom game in general is what my strong suit was at the time, and that's what I picked up on the fastest.
You think it's because you were training with guys mostly, or?
Yeah, I feel like since I've always been the smallest in my gym, and either I was the only girl, there'd be one other girl training with us. I just kind of had to resort to being on my back just because they are bigger. If they wanted me down, they can keep me down. And usually at our gym, we do like month curriculums. So when I first started, it was on your back. Like we were doing arm bars, triangles, like guard playing, just for the technique of the month. And that was one of the first things I picked up on. So of course it was gonna be my strong suit because I didn't know anything else. And then training with the guys, they're always bigger. Like the lightest guy's probably like 20 pounds heavier than I am. And if they're stronger than me, if they want to be down, I'll be down. So I had to really learn how to keep them off me and use my guard to my advantage.
Let's talk about the curriculum a little bit from learning wise. So you kind of learn from a curriculum base. So kind of talk about the one that you were going through. Was it like you said it was a month, right? Each one, or?
Yes. So they usually go month to month. So each month it'll be something new. Like let's say like this month we're doing a little bit of guard passing, and then like saddle positions. But the previous month was Kimura, and then previous month we would do leg locks. So it's an entire month, and you'll learn different positions, and then also different scenarios. But in regards to what we're learning that month, so if it's a leg lock scenario, you're either learning escapes, a leg lock, or both in one class. So it would be for example, this month, since we're doing the saddle, you get an entry into the bottom player's legs, and then goes to your saddle. And then if that the saddle doesn't work, then you'll move on to the next option, which will be taking the back. So it's kind of like you get the one position for the month or one technique for the month, and you build based off of that technique.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's not necessarily common to see that in a lot of
It's not
every class. You're doing primarily one thing for the whole month.
exactly. And it at first, like when you first hear it, it's kind of like, oh, aren't you doing the same thing over and over? And I'm like, no, because it's within the family, like the same genre, but it's a build off of what could be or what needs to be done. Like if I step in incorrectly, what can I do from there? So it's not only, hey, you're going to step in, do a back step for a straight month. It's like, hey, you're gonna step in, they hook your leg. If they hook it with their right leg, you're gonna do this with your left leg. If they hook it with their left leg, this is what you're gonna do. So it's a build off of what you're learning for the month. It seems odd at first, because when I go to other schools, it's like multiple techniques in one sitting, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not used to it. I'll catch on to it. I'm just like, okay, that works. But at the same time, I'm used to the way I'm being taught the monthly. Hey, we're going to branch off of this. We're going to focus on this part of the body. But if you have a question, then we could always branch off to something else.
Yeah, I think there's so many cool, like new ways of thinking, and to have a more focused. Yeah, because I've been in a lot of gyms where it was all scattered, kind of like let's do this, let's do that, this, that.
Mhm.
What do you want to do? Just that.
Exactly. And then
And the way you're talking about, in the beginning.
exactly. And I feel like my preference is to not learn so many techniques at once because I just feel like it kind of makes your mind a little jumbled personally. There's some people who they could learn all the techniques and like they'll remember it, but I'm the type of person I love to learn multiple techniques, but at different portions of time. So with me, my favorite thing is to learn new technique. I want to be the one to kind of know everything. I want to be the one to learn as much as I can. I just want the knowledge of a very high level athlete. That's what my goal is. I want to be high level. And I feel like in order to do that, you kind of have to learn everything. But for me, I will do it moments at a time. So let's say one week I'll focus strictly on leg locks. Or the next week I'll be like, hey, you got to work on your wrestling or your guard passing or this. And then I'll kind of do research on that or watch more YouTube videos on, hey, let me watch what they do. Let me kind of take notes on what they're doing, or I'll get an instructional. Like right now I'm focusing a little more on my wrestling and escapes and then reattacking from escapes. So I have instructionals for that. And then I also go to wrestling practice. And then my husband, he's more of a wrestler than I am. So he helps me with that as well. So that's kind of just my learning. The way I prefer to learn, I don't like learning too much at once. I feel like I'll forget. And I won't be able to um do it as technically sound as I should be doing it.
How much do you guys go over at home, or a lot or a little?
So it depends on the day. There's times where we're in the our garage for like 2, 3 hours, and then there's other times we'll be in there for like 30 minutes because I want to try something. But we mainly, if not only, watch jujitsu, wrestling, and then MMA. That's our day to day. Like if we're gonna eat dinner, we're gonna put that on. And we kind of have study time. We were quite busy these last couple weeks, and with my match and us getting sick, so we would still watch it, but we weren't as into it as we could have been. But we're back to that now where we're like, okay, we have to study this instructional and we have to practice this. Or I'll be like, hey, can we go into the garage? And if I can't make it somewhere, like let's say I can't make it to training for one day, I'll ask him to go into the garage with me and we'll train the entire amount of time I would be in class. So that's pretty much an everyday thing. If I'm not in class, we're usually doing it in the garage, but it would depend on the mood, if you want to say that, for how long we're in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great resource. Like if you're struggling with something to practice, you can just go in there and, you know, deal with it as much as you need to when you're home.
Exactly. And I think it's helped me a lot doing that. Just asking him like, hey, if I need to fix something. Sometimes it gets annoying, but that's just the, ego side of things. It's like you did that wrong. It's like, did I really? But you surely did. And they could kind of point it out and show you how to fix it within your own household.
Now let's talk about the competition. Like, why do you think you become someone who wanted to like compete as much as you're doing, or compete as focused as you're competing?
So I grew up being an athlete. I grew up competitive. I've been an athlete my whole life, and competition was a big thing for me. I was always playing games, going to compete. I was doing something active, and I kind of wanted to keep that as an adult. And then I stopped. After I graduated, I wasn't as active anymore. I wasn't going to the gym as I should have. Like I was just kind of in that lazy, I just graduated stage. I don't want to do anything. And then when I moved up here and I got the taste of what jujitsu was, and I was automatically like, I want to do it. My first day, like when I saw them, I was like, I went up to my coach and I was like, hey, we want to compete. My husband was like, we came here because we've been athletes our whole life. We want to compete. Um, like what do you think we can do? And he was like, okay, give me 6 months. And I was like, okay, 6 months. I'm gonna work my butt off to go ahead and compete because that's something I've always done my whole life. It kind of brought the fire back into me, and I was like getting ready for things, and it made me feel, I guess, more young again. Even though I was already young, it just brought that fire back into me. And 3 months later, my instructor was like, "You, let's go compete. You're fine. You can go do it. You learn very fast. Let's go try it. See if you like it." And that first competition, it made me love it even more. And I was like, okay, this is for me. This is what I want to do. I love this. The anxious feeling, the excitement, the lead up to it, the training for it, you go a little harder. It brings out a different side of you. And that's what I loved. And that's what made me want to keep competing or start competing, is that feeling I would always get. And it's like a boost of serotonin, I guess you can say.
What was the first competition?
It was a local Colorado competition called CJ, Colorado Jiu Jitsu Club, so CJJC for short. It was it was a first, actually my first gi tournament, and I was scared. I was super scared, and um, it was a super small tournament, not many people. There was, I think, three other girls in my bracket. Um, so not very well known. They're getting bigger now, but yeah, that was my first, and I did pretty well for it being my first ever. Just 3 months in, I got silver due to a referee just messing up the call completely, but that was a great experience for me, I guess.
So how many of like that level of competition were you doing before you started competing at like worlds or whatever?
Um, I I would say I did about four local. tournaments before I started branching out to IBJJFs and bigger ones, just because I think I needed to build that confidence. And I was still new to jujitsu, so I didn't really know IBJJF. I didn't know much about ADCC. I didn't know about the bigger tournaments until I started competing in the locals, and then everyone kind of, you become friends with everyone. They'll ask you like, "Hey, have you tried this one? Have you done this tournament?" Um, that's when you start branching out. So it took me about 4 locals before I gained the confidence to go to my first IBJJF. It was still considered a local because it was in Denver, but it was still a bigger one. IBJJF is known to be a more prestigious competition setting. So that was my first considered big one, and didn't end so well. I did split my eyebrow open, so I was disqualified, but it was still like that experience of, hey, it's a bigger, like I had the feeling of like, okay, this is what a bigger tournament feels like, and then I like that more than a local, so I just kept branching and going higher and higher from there.
How many years did it span for those 4 tournaments? How many years was that?
Um, the 4 tournaments, that was all last year actually. Um, I would say it's between then and now for those first 4. I would say I separated them by about 2 to 3 months, if not 1 month. And I just kept going. And then there was a while where I stopped after that. And then it's been mainly this year that I've been super heavy into my competing, because I made a goal for myself to try to compete every single month, or at least do an equivalent of competing 12 times in the year. So as in, like, if I do 3 competitions in 1 month, that counts. But I can still do more the next month, but I just kind of want to make that number. So I've been trying to compete as much as I can now.
Let's talk about that first one. Like you said, you were disqualified. Like, what happened?
So my first ever one, it still kind of upsets me, and I know it shouldn't. It's been over a year, probably even almost 2 years now. So it was my finals match, and I was going against this amazing wrestler. Her name's Catherine Shy, and she's just this just outstanding human being. And we were going off to the side of the mat. We were pretty much out of bounds at that point, and she was going for an arm bar, but I escaped it completely. My arm was still in between her legs, but I moved into side control. The referee tapped us both. He waved it. He was like, "Okay, stop." So we're like, okay. She knew I got out. I knew I got out. We're like, we're going back to the center. That's usually what happens. They'll send you back to the center of the mat. And we get to the center of the mat, and he like makes us stand there. And we're like, "Hey, aren't we going again?" And he was like, "No, you lost." Straight up, just like, "You lost." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What do you mean I lost? I didn't tap." And he goes, "No, like, you lost." And then she was like, "No, we were out of bounds. Like, you just stopped us. You didn't, like, we're still trying to compete against each other. We're still like, this match isn't over. This is not how I want to win. Neither of us wanted to win that or lose that way." And he was like, "Well, I already called it. I already called the match, so it's done." And then my coach was like, "What are you talking about? Like, you're not supposed to just stop a match. You only do that for kids." And he was like, "Well, I already called it, so she wins." And just like that, like, super rude, super just not the greatest referee. And it's kind of like, we both as fighters were like, we could keep going. Like, we're asking you to keep going. And he was like, "No," like as if he didn't want it to fall on him. Like, I made the mistake. He just kind of wanted to keep it at what he called it as first. Like, he was correct. He didn't want to go back on that, and he didn't want to be seen as I did something bad or I did something wrong. So he just ended the match there. And that's how my first competition went. It wasn't the greatest, and I'm still kind of annoyed by it, but one day I'll get over it.
Well, I mean, the reason I ask is because, as your first experience, it didn't like discourage you from doing that again or doing this competition again.
No, I'm gonna be honest, I was frustrated, I cried, I was mad, but I was like, okay, now I'm gonna prove that I can finish a match, and I'm gonna make sure nobody else stops my matches. I'm gonna try to get the finish at all times. I wanted to work on it so that there was no question as, hey, did she really escape, or am I saving her from an arm break? I wanted to get better and just keep practicing until it was like, hey, yeah, she's good to keep going. She's not in any danger. I don't need to stop the match early this is what it is, and they're gonna keep fighting till the end, or if she submits them. And that was my goal. Right after that match, I was coming back with a vengeance.
It's interesting because, the reason I ask, because some people might just be like, well, I don't want to do IBJJF anymore or whatever.
Mhm.
So for you, it's just, I'm going to keep at it.
And then, yeah, it was for me. I've lost before, and every time I haven't lost much, and I'm not saying that in like a hey, I'm the best way, because I always feel like I can improve. That's my day-to-day mindset. I can get better. But after the matches I've lost, whether it was I genuinely lost, or it was a rough decision, or if I got injured, I always got off the mat and I was like, I need to fix this. This is something I need to fix. I'm not gonna come back the next competition and do the same things over. I'm gonna go back to class, watch my tapes, make sure I'm doing things correctly. Because even with the IBJJF, when I did split my eyebrow open, I went back and watched a video, and I was like, granted, it wasn't my fault that I couldn't keep going. Kind of was, but at the same time, it was a freak accident that happened. And I still sat down, watched my tape, and was like, if I didn't do that, maybe that wouldn't have happened. So I still kind of win or lose, look back at my tapes, and I'm always trying to come back even better, especially if I do happen to lose or get disqualified and or have an early stoppage. Then that's my main goal, to fix whatever I messed up on.
What are some of your competitive goals that you've reached so far?
Honestly, I would say going into a competition and being able to submit my opponents. That was from the start, that was kind of a goal for me. I did struggle with getting in submissions. I would basically just kind of win on points. So now this year I'm starting to submit more of my opponents. That was a big goal for me. Going to a larger tournament and being able to come on top and bring home gold. That's a big competition goal that I had. And I did that with the ADCC Denver Open. I did that with Jiu-Jitsu Con or IBJJF. And I plan on doing that at Worlds this year. And I kind of have the same goal of, hey, go out there, go to these big tournaments and kind of show them that you can do it. And just kind of work your way, show them that you can be the best if you really work hard for it. And I'm not saying I'm the best by any means, but that is one of my goals, to be the best. So each competition I go in like, be the best at this competition. And I think this year I've been proving that at every single competition I've done. And I'm just going to keep on trying for that exact goal.
And like ADCC, you said you won the tournament there. Are you going to do like, I don't know how they're working the thing, because I know they have like the main ADCC and tournaments off of it now. Like what would that lead to? The one you won, does that lead to another one for you?
So that one was just an open, but it does help with your rankings in the ADCC like trials rankings. But from that tournament, I just kind of wanted to get a taste of the rule set before I went off to trials, because you do have to do trials before you can make it into the big tournament. So that kind of set it off for me, like, hey, if you work hard enough, you can do it. And that's exactly what that tournament kind of opened up for me. It's like I won that tournament, and although I didn't do the advanced division, it gave me the confidence, like, hey, you're okay with this rule set. Now take it to the even bigger one. You're going to be going against all belts. Doesn't matter. Like, this is your opportunity. You can do it in this exact rule set. You can go into the overtime. You can go and deal with all the submissions they throw at you, because it's every single submission is legal. You can do it. It's okay. Like, this is what you're going to do now. Now you're going to go to the West Coast trials and do the exact same thing. Higher belts or not, doesn't matter. Just kind of open my mind to being able and being confident to compete at the trials.
How long do you think it would take for you to want to do that?
I'm actually planning on going next year for the West Coast trials, just because that's when women can qualify the most. It's in the second, it's in that second test, or the second competition rule set for ADCC. So for East Coast trials, women don't qualify there, but if you do win, they'll kind of take you over to West Coast trials, like you free of charge. But at West Coast Trials is when you can qualify for the big ADCC tournament, and I'm planning on going to that one next year, just to test myself, see if I could do it. I think I can do it. I fully believe in myself. I just have to make sure I'm putting in the hard work to do that.
I want to be in Vegas.
Yes, that one, the West Coast Trials will be in Vegas, and then the big show will also be in Vegas.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So like you competed, you won this open. What do you think, like between now and then, maybe not technique wise, but maybe just overall, what do you think you would need to do to be
Um, to be ready for that, I would need to train as much as I can, kind of come up with game plans just for that rule set specifically because everyone has a different rule set. Just kind of work every rule, work your game plan, work your nutrition, everything based off of that one competition. My nutrition has to be on point. I want to be strong, I want to be healthy, and I want to feel 100%. For training wise, I want to train as much as I can. I'm going to have to do some hard training, um, more wrestling, just more stand up, more leg locks, because that's a big thing now. The leg locks are everywhere. And then also some basic skills that they don't expect from you that will kind of catch them off guard. Then I would say just keeping up with my health and make sure I'm 100% before I head over there. I can't go in there even 99%. I have to be 100% because it is a very hard tournament, and everybody there wants to be in the big show, and they're going to try to kill you to do it.
now when you compete in the worlds, what are you going to be competing in? Like blue, right? Blue or purple?
So I'll be doing blue belt. You're not allowed to go up in belt or age or anything. You just kind of have to stick with your people. For IBJJF, so I'll be doing the blue belt 125 bracket.
So let's talk about that. So you competed. You haven't done the main one yet. Like
No.
this will be the biggest one, right? That you've done.
Yes, this will be the biggest one I've done. Yes.
So, what do you think competition wise, or maybe numbers wise in your bracket? How many more people do you think there would be versus what you had done before?
And for world specifically, how many people?
Yeah.
I would say so far I've looked at it. The last time I checked, there was the 16 other girls in my bracket. So I'm kind of expecting to at least have 20, 25 girls in that bracket, if not even more, which that'll be the most I've ever competed against. So I would at least minimum have about like 6 fights, and if not even more than that, just because of how many women are going to be in that bracket, and it's a really big deal. So the more the merrier.
Now you've competed a lot, so who are some of the maybe some of the people you've seen more than once that you competed against that you've maybe had some tough matches with there?
One girl, she's so sweet, but her name's Angelique, and we've competed both. It's been an IBJJF mainly. Like that's when we see each other the most. And she's tough. She's strong. She used to wrestle, so she makes it like she's probably my toughest competition. She's been my toughest competition so far. She's taken me down. Like we've had some battles, and we're actually just at the last Jiu-Jitsu con. We're in the finals match together, and I knew it was gonna be her. I saw her name on that roster, and I was like, it's gonna be me and her. We're gonna be in the finals. I just had that feeling, and it ended up being us. And I kind of knew when I saw her sign up. I was like, listen, she's good at wrestling. She's very technical. She's strong. Like you have to make sure you're on your A game because she's very competitive and she's no joke by any means. And I had to mentally prepare for not only everyone in the bracket, but since everybody knew her game just a little bit, I kind of knew she was going to come out strong. So I was like, okay, I have to be strong as well. She's the main one that I've seen. I was like, okay, yeah, she's legit.
Now, when it comes to these kind of competitions, do you feel like you gravitate more towards gi or no gi, or do you just doesn't matter?
So I this year I've been more no-gi, and I think that's just my preference now. I feel like I could be more fluid, more technical, and just I think it's just a little more fun. You know, you have to scrap more. I'm all for scrapping. I like going hard. I don't like the stalling. I don't like the, hey, I'm just gonna wait here and try to get 2 points. That's not me. And I feel like no-gi kind of brings out that like animal side. Like you have to go hard. You have to make sure you're on your A game because any little thing they could slip out. And then nothing against ski is just not my it's not my forte anymore. It used to be. That used to be my main thing. I was a gi girl and I would only compete gi, and then I had my first no-gi competition, and that's when I decided, hey, I'm just going strictly no-gi for competing. Maybe one day I'll go back to the gi, but from now on until I decide that it'll be no-gi.
But I mean, you're doing the, are you, so you're doing no gi world. You're not going to do the gi.
Yeah, so I'm just doing no-gi worlds. Um, and then I feel like once I kind of decide to go back to gi, I'll start branching into gi worlds. But as of right now, especially getting ready for ADCC trials, I really did want to focus on no-gi because it is a no-gi only competition. And I want to make sure my no-gi is on point specifically for ADCC.
Now, let's talk a little bit about like when you're competing against all belts. I mean, obviously it'll be a big jump from, competition wise and probably numbers wise too, I
Mhm.
think. I mean, I don't know, just tell me about that. What you think about that in general.
I I respect belts, but I think everyone's beatable, including myself. I don't. Nobody's unbeatable. No matter what belt you are. There's some belts they got it, super soon, or they just don't train as much, but they have the belt. So when I look at a belt, I'm like, that doesn't make me scared. That doesn't make me like, oh, she's a black belt. I can't beat her. I'm just gonna be like, okay, she's a black belt. I'm gonna try my best. Hey, I might lose. Hey, who cares? Maybe they're a higher belt and they're perfect, like they're so good, but that doesn't stop me from trying it. And in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna do my best to beat everyone by becoming the best I can possibly be. And if they beat me, hey, they were just better. I don't care about I don't care about a belt. I think, especially with ADCC, you shouldn't care about a belt or all ranked tournaments. That should be your last thought because then that puts fear into you. And although sometimes fear is good, at that point it won't be because then you'll be more hesitant. And if I constantly tell myself the belts don't matter, that doesn't matter. Your technique is what matters. That's going to make me feel more confident going into those matches. And I feel like a lot of people need to start thinking that way. Like respect the belts because a lot of them put time in and they're super amazing people and they're very technical and they have so much knowledge. But if we're going into a competition, I don't care about your belt. We're gonna go at it. And if you beat me, you beat me. And if I beat you, I beat you. Belt aside, it's just a technique thing for me and how much you train.
Tell me what you think about what you're seeing in ADCC, as you've gotten exposed to it and you watch some of what you see.
Oh, I love the rule set. It's my favorite rule set just because it's more wrestling based, and I feel like with the wrestling, like it it brings out the grind. And I've seen a lot of matches where they got suplex off the mat or they just get slammed to oblivion, and that's my kind of thing. This year I saw a lot like a little more guard pulling than I personally like seeing. I'm not a big fan of the guard pulling unless like it's dire. Let's say you really can't take the person down, or if you're injured, then or if you automatically sit and then just go straight to a submission. I'm okay with that. But scooting I'm not okay with, and I feel like in ADCC you shouldn't be allowed to pull guard just because it's ADCC. You want it to be exciting. You want it to be that wrestling base. You want them to go at it. You're trying to be the one of the best in the world. I think um, that's what it should be. And then this year watching it, I saw a lot of wrestling. I saw the girls, they were wrestling. And I really appreciated that. I saw the majority of the matches I watched, the girls were just going at it. They were wrestling more and just the submissions and how hard they were like going at each other. It was kind of like just a different experience from what you see at like a normal competition. They were trying, if not like they were trying to kill each other quite literally. That's how hard they were going and that's how bad they want it, and you could kind of see that in their faces, in what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it so that they are the best and they want it that bad, so they would do anything in their power to do that. And I feel like it's it's just going to get harder and harder, and like you're just gonna have to fight more, and it's gonna get more gritty. And that's what I saw a lot this year. I mainly try to watch the women's matches, and they were just going at it. So I appreciated it from them, and it was just, I guess, amazing to watch them kind of excel and progress in like the stand up and all that such.
Why do you think no one's been able to crack Gordon yet?
Oh, he's just technically sound. Like he is just so good at what he does. He doesn't need 1,000 techniques. And I think that's what a lot of people fail to realize. When you watch him, he does a lot of the same techniques over and over, but he's so good at them. And he's practiced it for so many years that he doesn't need to learn a fancy new move in order to win. He could do an arm bar, a super basic arm bar, and then beat everyone in the bracket with it just because he's practiced it so much. And he kind of practiced it from, I feel like he practices it from every position, every failed attempt, or even like different scenarios. He just goes in, does the same things over and over and over. But by him doing that, nobody can beat it. And then he's not, I guess, he doesn't have any self-doubt either. And I think that's a big thing in the jiu-jitsu community. They start doubting themselves. And that's when I feel like that's when you tend to start kind of losing or just not being as technically sound, just because you will have that doubt. If you go into a match and you're like, I might lose, you're probably going to lose. He goes into a match like, I'm going to win. I'm confident in my technique. I have one of the best coaches in the world. I practice 2 times a day. I do all of these things in order to succeed. And he's confident in that. And that, I feel like that helps him just kind of succeed in the sport. And not only that, he's just constantly on his A game. If he's injured, he's still kind of looking into techniques. He's never not getting better. And I feel like he's just going to keep getting better, especially as jiu-jitsu progresses. If something new does come up, he's going to go ahead and perfect that, just because he wants to be the best in the world. If he is the best no-gi grappler in the world. So in order to like keep that reputation, he would have to keep up with his kind of techniques and his study regimen and his practicing. And it's just something I feel like if everyone does it, then you'll kind of be on the same level he is.
It is interesting you said that about his confidence. Like, you know, maybe his confidence doesn't intimidate some people. Do you think?
Yeah, I feel like there's some other people that are just as confident as him, but a lot of times I think it's like a facade. They kind of say it, they act it, but it's not true. They'll kind of be like, "Well, I'm better than Gordon Ryan, or I'm the best. I'm better. I could beat him." But in their head, there's still doubt, and that's what I feel like kind of messes with them, because you can see in his previous matches. I've watched all of them, and he comes out the way he comes out versus how his opponent comes out. You could kind of see the difference in their demeanor, and they want to beat him so bad, but in their head, it's kind of like they have that doubt. But in his head, I feel like he has no doubt in his techniques. If he's put in a bad position, he's like, okay, I could get out of it. And a lot of times when others are put in bad positions, they start panicking just a little bit. No matter how long you've been doing jujitsu, you just kind of have that moment of like, what should I do? I feel like he doesn't have those moments. He's just kind of like, okay, get out. Like, I'm gonna get out of this. I'm better than everyone. And that's the confidence that you kind of need. And I feel like his opponents kind of just pretend to have that confidence. Like, they're confident in themselves, but they're not as confident. And they still have that sense of doubt just because of like how good is this guy? You know, I would have, if I'm being honest, I would have some doubt if I went against someone just as good as he is. And they might be more confident than I am. And I would 100% be like, yeah, they are. They're that good. Even though I could pretend to be as confident as I am, I'm not. I don't have his confidence. I don't have the, what would you say? The, how would I say that? The record he has, there we go. He's gone unbeaten for so long. That builds up someone's confidence. And then if you, let's say you've won all your matches, you've lost one this year compared to him, that's gonna mess with your head. It's how good he is. It'll mess with you. And if you don't have the confidence, you will just kind of like slowly shrink away during that match. And I feel like it's not gonna stop. Like unless someone comes out and they're truly as confident as he is, he's just gonna reign on top and just keep it that way until he decides he doesn't want to anymore.
Yeah, so somebody put you out there like to talk. You probably wouldn't be as brash as him.
No, I see myself. I can't. I think about it, and there's times where I'm like, maybe if I'm, on one championship and they have us in like a little area and you're doing your press conference, I'll be confident. I'm confident in myself and my abilities, but I wouldn't have the confidence to say what he says. I also this is just not the type of person I am. I think I'm just more on the humble side, and I don't really like to talk about myself much. um, so I'll kind of keep it to respect unless I'm disrespected, then that's a big difference. He just, he's very smart. He's a very smart guy, and he just what he says is usually very truthful, and he's just very analytical about things. So he will point out your flaws. I'm not as analytical as that. I'm I won't point out your flaws also because that kind of is my game. I'm not gonna point out like you're doing that wrong and then you go and fix it and now you're not doing it wrong anymore. I'm just gonna wait until after the match and be like, okay, you're doing that wrong. But he doesn't care. He's very analytical. So for him to go out and exude the confidence that he has, I am confident in myself, but I wouldn't be able to speak the way he does just yet. Maybe one day, but not yet.
Yeah, it's like he's a. I don't know if you've ever seen Revenge of the Nerds, but they got like the character Ogre, and then they got this guy Wormser, who's like the nerdiest of the nerds guys. He's like a combination of both of those guys. Really weird, like he's like a jock and a nerd, like put in
Yes,
one person.
I agree. He's just like super, like this super athlete, but he's also very smart. Like the way he speaks, I went to his seminar in Vegas, and I'm like, the way he speaks and the way he teaches, so smart. He's extremely smart and very, very analytical. But then he'll beat the crap out of you. Like he will utterly destroy you, and he's very athletic. So it's like you just get that mix of like total prime athlete. That's what he is. He's just top tier athlete, was extremely smart and extremely athletic. And I'm just like, it's just a different breed. I don't know. He's just different than a lot of people that you watch now. Even the best of the best that I've seen. Those other black belts were just amazing. He's just on top of them. Like it's nothing. It's just like another day like another day, like, okay, I just beat you. Oh well. Like nothing. It was nothing to him.
Yeah, you don't meet many guys that are like meatheads, so to speak, but he's like some
Mhm.
something happened somewhere. Like he's
I
intelligent
don't
and meathead at the same time.
I know, and it's crazy to see. And I'm like, it's so crazy because usually, like, you'll meet a super strong guy and he's not the brightest, or like you'll meet a super nerd and they're not the strongest. But then you look at him and it's like, how are you so smart, but also like a meathead? Like you're so strong, so athletic, but you're so smart. How it's not supposed to go that way. It's supposed to be like the movies. Either you're a nerd or a jock. You can't be both.
Crazy. Now
It's outstanding.
I know you have some sponsors, right? Like Level X.
I do. I do. I have my nutritionist. He's so awesome. I have my nutritionist, Guam, um, and it's GNRC, I believe, Guam Nutrition. Um, he is my sponsor, and he's helped me so much during this. Like, I'm getting ready for Worlds, and he just kind of came up with a meal plan specifically like towards me, and it's actually helped me already. I feel more energized all the time, and just stronger, and I'm gaining more muscle, but not gaining more body fat or weight while I'm eating. I used to just cut out calories completely and kind of starve myself just a little bit, and I wasn't as energized as I should have. But now he has me eating more, but in a smart way. And it's helped me tremendously. And he's so awesome. So if anyone needs a nutritionist, Guam Nutrition is the best you can go to. And if anything, if you need, like if anyone needs the actual Instagram and such, I could always give that to them too. But yeah, he's my sponsor, and he's just an amazing person. And we haven't known each other for a while, but it's just he's helped me tremendously.
How'd you find him?
So a couple of my friends actually used him. Um, and I was just kind of in that boat where I was frustrated with the weight cuts and I didn't want to do it myself. And I was like, I can't do it, not eating as much and kind of always feeling hungry. So I was like, why not try a nutritionist? So my friend, she used him and she made the weight easy for East Coast trials. And I was like, okay, let me give him a chance. And then I just messaged him and I was like, hey, like I'm looking for help. I'm willing to pay. I don't care like how much it costs. I just don't want to feel the way I feel anymore. And he messaged me back and we got on a phone call and it went from there. And he decided to sponsor me and kind of help me out with this weight cut for Worlds.
Because I saw you wearing some rash guards, like the Level X rash guards or whatever.
But I just
Something new or what?
no, I just really that's my favorite brand. It's really good quality and it kind of just like I guess the essence around it, it kind of brings out I don't know, makes you feel a little more badass, I guess. Like I feel when I put on a Level X black rash guard, I'm getting on the mat and I'm like, we're going hard. Like I'm gonna try to kill you hard. And then it just brings out another side of you. I don't know why. Maybe it's because everyone says it and it's kind of like a placebo effect, but hey, if it helps me in my matches, I'm gonna keep wearing them. And I like the basicness of it, but it's a dope basic. Like who else has a rash guard that you could just change the colors and a couple of words and it brings out a feeling in you that you just feel like this monster. And I don't know, it's just the design's just basic but so badass. Like it makes you feel like a badass. It brings out that confidence in you. And maybe it's just for me, but I wear them all the time just because I love them. I don't care. I'll keep wearing them until I stop jujitsu, I guess.
They need to sponsor you, I think. I think that's what
I wish.
endorsement, don't you think?
I wish, but I won't ask. My big thing is I feel really bad about asking for sponsorships. I take anything. I love, any help I could get, but I guess like I'm more of wanting to support the business and I'm like, I don't want to take money away from them. They could be a multi-million-dollar business. And I'm like, I don't know. I shouldn't ask you guys to sponsor me. I feel bad. I'll just keep buying it and showing it. And if you want to sponsor me one day, maybe, I'll take it for sure. But I don't really like to pester businesses for that.
So as we kind of wind down the interview, I kind of wanted to give you a chance to, if there's anything you wanted to maybe leave the interview on, or something else you wanted to address that we didn't talk about, or
Um, I mean, one thing I really do want to address would be, um, I know a lot of jujitsu people go with the deal with this. It's kind of not only mental state but environments, and if they're kind of in an environment where they don't feel appreciated, gym wise, home wise, whatever, especially like I'm gonna be speaking on gym wise, if you don't feel appreciated or if you feel like you're not getting the training, but you feel really bad about not showing up or training somewhere else, don't feel bad. Because if you want to be successful and if you want a career in jujitsu, you're gonna have to do the hard things, which is whatever home gym you have, if you don't feel like you're growing in there anymore, if you feel like, hey, they're not supporting me anymore, be okay to leave. It's okay to leave. It's okay to find something better for you. And that'll help your mental health. That'll help your game, that'll help your techniques. It'll just make you a better person overall. Because I know I kind of dealt with that where I was in a bad mental spot and I wasn't really getting the help from some people that I really thought would help me. And it took me a while to realize like, hey, I have to go. I can't keep doing this. And then from there on, now I'm exceeding and I'm like, okay, now I'm with this new group of people and I have their full support. They're always supportive of me and they're guiding me to actual success. So if you don't feel like you're growing or if you feel like you're stagnant or if you feel like you need to leave or they're not supporting you and they're kind of just taking you for granted or using your success as their token, leave. Find somewhere better, find somewhere where you're appreciated and try to do what's best for you and stop thinking for other people only because I deal with that myself where I put everyone first and I leave myself last and that put me in a really deep hole mentally and physically. I was just done and I changed that and it's been nothing but greatness from there and I think everyone should be okay with doing that.
and that was related to jujitsu, like
Yeah. So mine specifically was jujitsu related, but it goes into anything, work, home, like friendships. Mine was jujitsu related, but this goes into everything. Don't be afraid to walk away from things or change up your life a little bit if it's going to make you happier, because at the end of the day, you just have yourself, and you're the one that sleeps in your bed, not your team, not your boss. You sleep in your own bed with your thoughts. So if it's gonna drive you insane, make the change and don't hold yourself in a place where you're gonna end up hurting yourself severely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good message. I mean, that attitude was real prevalent in the early days for sure, but I think it's changed a lot, over the years. But it's still,
Yeah,
obviously, if you've had to go through it, I mean, it's still out there to some degree.
exactly. And I feel like a lot of people, they just feel it's guilt. A lot of times it is guilt, and I have a very hard time with feeling guilty about things that'll make me happy. And I feel like a lot of people also deal with the same things, like doing things to make themselves better, make themselves happy. And I just want them to, I came to actually realization today that I need to just do it. You need to do it in order to make yourself better, in order to make yourself happier. Um, you just kind of have to put everybody else's feelings and everybody else's thoughts to the side and think about yourself for once, and put yourself first for the first time, second time, however many times you have to do it, just do it. And you'll see how much you will grow, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to end the interview on. It's like a positive message for
Mhm.
people that, yeah, because it is true. It could be anything, like you're saying, a job or if it's
Exactly.
it's not going to work for sure.
Like there's a lot of times where feel like you're getting eaten alive. Like you feel like you're sunken in, there's no more chance for you. Like you don't have a chance in life. Like you're just done. And I mean, it's just kind of, there's days you'll feel like that, but if you don't give up, you'll kind of see how much better it can be when you truly start thinking and doing things for yourself and trying to make better choices.
Well, Melanie, I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I really appreciate you, taking time to talk with me and everything. And I look forward to seeing you compete more in ADCC especially. And yeah, wish you good luck. And yeah, I'd love to talk to you more, after,
Yeah.
whatever. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was my first ever podcast, so I get a little awkward talking to my camera, but I really appreciate it. It was really fun. First time for everything, and it was a great experience. So I really thank you for that.
Yeah, I doubt it'll be your last one.
I hope not.
Well, it was great talking to you and everyone. Appreciate you checking out the show and subscribe and check out Melanie and her competitions and everything. And where can people find you on social media if people want to follow you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Melanie.Landress, BJJ. I can spell it out. It's Melanie period Landress, BJJ. That's for my Instagram. But if you do struggle finding that, you can put Melanie Matos, last name Matos. It should pop up because that's in my bio. So that also helps people find me. That's where I use um that's my main source of social media. So that's where I post the most, and you'll see my competitions and such. I might string out to YouTube, but I have to get into the content making first.
All right. Well, appreciate it. And until next time, it's great talking to you. Great meeting you. And yeah, everybody, appreciate checking out the interview. Take care.
Thank you.